Hello everybody, welcome to F8. My name is Julien Codorniou and I manage the platform team at Facebook in Europe. And this is the gaming panel, so I'm very excited to be here because we have two very special guests from two very special gaming companies. So guys, can you tell us who you are and who you work for?
Glad to be here today. My name is Danny Moy. I work at King and I lead the partnerships and business development groups.
Hi, and I'm Rex Sikora. I work for IGT at the Double Down Casino, and I'm in charge of strategic partnerships.
So Rex, what type of games does your company develop?
Double Down, we focus on social casino games. Our primary product are slot games, but we also have blackjack, poker, bingo, roulette, and all the typical games you would expect to see in a casino.
Danny?
King focuses on building casual social games. And some of our flagship titles have been Bubble Witch Saga, Candy Crush Saga, Pet Rescue Saga, and Farm Hero Saga.
Could you share with us some numbers? How many people play your games every day, every month?
Yep, sure. As of February 2014, so recently, I think we have roughly about 144 million daily active users. And on a monthly basis, we have approximately 324 monthly unique users.
Rex?
Yeah, we have approximately 1.7 million DAUs, daily active users, and we have about 6.2 million monthly active users. Those users tend to play our slot games primarily, and the big games that they participate in the most are Monopoly, Siberian Storm, and believe it or not, Kitty Glitter is a big hit with everybody as well.
And so when did you guys, maybe it was on the first day and maybe that's why you created these companies, but when did you guys decide to build games for the Facebook platform and for Facebook.com in particular? Rex, when did that happen and how did you end up building games for Facebook?
So we started off as a Facebook game. That made the most sense for us. That's where we got our early start. That's where we got the majority of our growth. Mobile was something that we started about a year and a half after that we had our Canvas game, and both of them play, a huge contribution into our success.
Danny, I understand it's a very different trajectory at King. You did not start as a Facebook gaming company?
Correct. At King, it's been a pretty interesting and I guess different journey. So the company is about 11 years old now, I think. But 11 years ago, the company actually started out as an online skill-based gaming destination. And then I think roughly around maybe 2010 or 2011, we started looking at even our own numbers and metrics and started asking, where are people playing games going forward? And through the research that we were doing and looking at our own numbers, we were like, oh, there's a lot of people that are playing games on Facebook and on their mobile devices. And we looked at the market and we said, okay, what type of games are people playing? Oh, they happen to be also playing casual games, which was a category of games that we were already creating. And at that time, we probably had a portfolio of like 100 plus casual games that we had built over time on the skill side. And then we basically did further research and basically invested in the technology to say, okay, let's bring these games over to Facebook, but let's try to bring them with a social component to it and build it in a way it's completely like free to play. So it probably took us a little bit of time to get there, but I think the reason why is because we definitely had to invest in the technology to know how to bring it over to Facebook, but if anything, to make sure that it was the proper user experience on Facebook versus what we had on the skill side.
And so let's talk right now just about the Facebook part of your business. So that's a $1 billion or $3 billion question. How do you become a top grossing app on Facebook? How do you make it happen? Is it the quality of the game? Is it the quality of your user acquisition team? Is it the quality of your monetization team? What kind of tips would you have for gaming entrepreneurs and gaming developers here who also want to become a top grossing app, top 10 grossing app, top 5 grossing app on Facebook? Danny?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Julian. I think the approach that we have is probably slightly different than a few other developers. We really, to build a top grossing game on Facebook, we really focus on fun and user experience. So we understand that we are in the casual category, so we definitely try to build games that are the most fun and engaging to reach a large audience. And we will never develop games to basically for the sake of monetization. So we focus on building games that basically drive the highest retention possible. And we just happen to know that, hey, a small percentage of a large volume of mainstream users that are playing our games will monetize, and hopefully from that volume we will basically make it up on the revenue and the monetization side. But I think it's very, for where we're at, I think what we focused on was truly building a really engaging experiences in our games to allow us to build a strong user network that we're basically able to maintain, and when we launch the next title, to have that user trust within our network to say, oh, this is a King game that's being developed, let me go ahead and try that also.
Rex?
For us, the story was slightly different. So back in 2012, IGT acquired Double Down Casino. And one of the great things about IGT is they've been making casino games for over 30 years. So after we got acquired, that gave us access to their huge repertoire of phenomenal casino games. And our focus has always been primarily on the customer first, and our goal has been to create the authentic casino experience. So people who do go to casinos and then come to our online casino, they go, hey, that's a game that I play with, I can identify with, and they can have that experience. So to oversimplify, the best things is to focus on world-class content, and you want to focus on the user experience and make sure that the customer is taken first. Because if you got both of those, your customer is going to promote your game on behalf of you.
I remember when IGT bought Double Down for $500 million, people said IGT was crazy, but now they look like geniuses, right? That's good for you. So let's talk now about your journey as a developer who went from the web to Facebook and then to mobile, or from Facebook to mobile. How did it happen? When did you tell yourself we need to launch on mobile, and what was the internal process of becoming a mobile first or a Facebook and mobile company? Rex?
As I mentioned earlier, we started off as a Facebook game. During that time, mobile has been a critical piece of everyone's business, and that's a platform that we knew that we needed to get to. For us, the journey's not complete. It's still a journey that's in progress. We do have our game on iOS and we do have it on Android, but we continue to create the right adaptation for that platform. So the game that you might have on Canvas today, which works perfectly, you need to make sure that, because actually, it's the same way that they were talking at the keynote today, your Facebook app is a very different experience as it on Canvas as it is on mobile. And you need to create that right blend of UI and user experience, even though at the root and the essence is the same game. You need to present that in a way that's going to be friendly, and that your customers are going to want to interact with again and again. So for us, Facebook is a huge part of our mobile story because it allows to give us that multi-platform experience where if somebody's playing at work and they happen to get on the bus, they can continue, playing their casino game, and when they get home, then they can move over to their tablet. And it's the same balance, it's the same chips, and it's just that continued experience independent of the platform, and that's one of the great things that Facebook brings to the equation for us.
And when did you launch your first mobile app?
I believe we launched it about a year and a half after we launched our Canvas application. So it's been just over a year that our mobile application's been live at this stage.
And your top grossing app on Facebook, iOS, Android, top 20, top 30, right?
Yeah. Last year we were announced as the top 5 app on iPad. We continually do well on iPhone, on typically a top 20, 25 app there, and those are both places that we're looking to continue to improve and increase our rankings.
So Danny, I think Candy Crush is #1 top grossing app on Facebook and iOS and Android. But how did you guys become a mobile company, a mobile first company?
Yeah. So I think it's just a little bit similar to the experience that Double Down had. One thing that we definitely focused on, again, we mentioned, or both of us have mentioned, is the user experience. As we dug into more a few years ago, we looked into the user feedback we got. And a lot of the user feedback was like, I want to play this game while I'm on the go. And I want to be able to pick it up from where I basically left off on Facebook. So, again, we did the research and said to ourselves, hey, our games seem to be suited to be played on the mobile in these like bite-sized, minutes when people are kind of commuting on the train or on their way to work, these, 3 to 5 minute increments that they have. And as a result, again, we had to kind of rethink how we were going to build games going forward. And we said, okay, we probably have to build the technology to allow us to be able to handle our games and have a fully cross-platform synchronized experience between web and mobile. And a large part of that has to do with Facebook and how we use Facebook. I think the opportunity that both companies have here is that if we launch on Canvas first, we have that good user base, right? And then when you launch it on the mobile side, you kind of have that user base early on to basically kickstart what you see on mobile and help the early adopters that were playing on Canvas to basically help you drive the initial mobile usage and drive that whole cross-platform play.
And I think since Bubble Witch, each one of your mobile games started on Facebook first, right?
Correct. Yeah, for the most part, yeah, most of our Saga games have started on Facebook.
And when it comes to mobile technologies, there is a debate: native apps versus web apps versus HTML5 apps. What is your philosophy on that? Was it a discussion when you considered launching on mobile, or was it a no-brainer that you had to be native?
I think for us, there was definitely some discussion around it, but I think because we were still new, right? We were learning how to build on mobile. I think at the time, native was probably something that we just felt most comfortable with in terms of working with and building on or building for it, and it was comfortable enough for us to ensure like a high quality user experience. So it's something that we basically stuck with since.
Alex, was it a debate at Double Down?
It's a conversation that's always ongoing. The application that we have out today is actually more driven by HTML5 than it is pure native. We have a thin native wrapper around our applications, which is then HTML5 driven, which gives us the ability to add new slot games without client updates. And I think there's a lot of pros. And I think that whole native versus HTML5, they're both very sound technologies. They definitely have both pros and cons, and it really depends on your business to determine which one makes the most sense.
Let's talk about user acquisition, because that's the biggest thing on mobile. People say it's a jungle. So what have you learned, playing that game, the game of user acquisition on mobile? What works, what doesn't work? How is it working with Facebook? Because we want to be a part of that industry as well. Any learnings that you could share with people watching us?
Yeah, I think it's still a jungle. It's still very much fragmented within the user acquisition space. But for us, why we like to work with the offerings or the products that Facebook user acquisition has is because it's still probably one of the best places or the single biggest place for us to do the best targeting, to find the right type of users that we want for the right type of experiences we have. So we continue to basically use the products that you have, but I think what you guys have launched today in terms of the audience network, that's actually very exciting, because a big problem was, I think you guys offer great products to basically target users on Facebook, but for a long time we knew that those users were actually doing other things off of Facebook, but there was no good way to basically kind of follow them from where they were on Facebook over to mobile. And we wanted to just to be able to have that consistency in saying, okay, this user has played our game before or played another game, and we know that they've tried a King type of product. Okay, they might not be on Facebook now, but let's be able to target them and basically bring them into the network or re-engage them.
Alex, any learnings on mobile user acquisition?
As Danny stated, which I would agree wholeheartedly, it's still definitely a jungle out there. It's still something I think that we're all learning on, learning about how to optimize, how to improve. Facebook has a lot of great products. You guys had some exciting announcements today, which we look forward to taking advantage of. Initially, the most important thing for us was taking all our Canvas users and introducing the fact that we had a mobile application and using the functionality that you supplied to us to actually, educate them and show them that these apps were available. Because as we found, users who have installed the mobile app now play more, now that they know that there's two different places that they can play and have continuous play.
And did it work? Did you manage to transfer these players from Facebook to mobile? Or did you acquire brand new users on mobile who maybe also came to Facebook? Did you see that shift happening?
We're doing a combination of both. We were able to successfully move a lot of users over to mobile, and we continue to acquire new users through mobile. Mobile is an exciting space for us, and that's where currently we're expecting to see the majority of our growth over the coming year.
Let's talk about cross-platform, and you've certainly seen Facebook doing a big push for Unity because it helps gaming developers to become web developers and mobile developers at the same time. What's your philosophy on Unity? Do you think Unity is ready for social games or social casino games? Is it an option you've considered at Double Down?
I think Unity is a fabulous technology. It's something that we are actively in conversations. At GDC, you announced that Unity will have the ability to do a play without installing a client. That's something that we're super excited about. That's something that we're currently researching. And we're hoping, as that technology gets better, that's something that we're definitely going to assess and do the appropriate due diligence on.
Similar at King, we keep monitoring and investigating what Unity basically has to offer. I guess the one difference with us is early on we made a conscious decision to basically build and invest in our own technology to be able to build and distribute and maintain our games cross-platform. But we at the company we remain flexible because we know that the app economy and the mobile world is constantly like shifting and moving. And we stay true to. We're honest to ourselves and say, okay, can our tech basically handle or manage what we're looking to do in the next 3 to 5 years in terms of how we want to build for games? And if it can, should we end up partnering or leveraging a third-party service or tool? So I think again, I agree with Rex. What we see in Unity is very exciting, and I think they still have a lot more to offer. I think going forward.
Let's talk about F8 and what we announced today. What are the things you are excited about on the build, grow, and monetize narrative and pillars of the platform? Anything that surprised you? Anything that you really liked this morning?
I just like the whole concept of like how you guys themed it in terms of helping developers basically build, grow, and monetize. I know King is probably at a slightly different level, but when I look at what you guys are offering, I think it really does help the smaller developers or new developers that are getting into the space. And the reason why I find it exciting is that if you look across mobile, right, if you guys want to build a mobile stable platform, is mobile, I know it's a very competitive space and it's still very fragmented throughout the different platforms, but there's still a lot of opportunity, right? And what you guys are trying to do is basically help make it easier and make it more efficient for a new player to basically come in and basically compete and say, we're going to give you the tools to help you have a fair chance to basically capitalize in this app economy or app world that is, to be frank, still growing and exploding.
Rex, what did you like this morning?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that Denny said are dead on. Some of the other incremental things that I would add to it is, from a developer perspective, the versioning and the predictability of the platform are super exciting. That we know that if we invest something, we'll be able to leverage it for that time period that you're guaranteeing developers for it to exist. I think we also like the control that you're giving to the customer, the ability to try things risk-free without giving information, giving the ability to only share the information they feel safe with. We think that's going to help, encourage people to try more applications. So people who may have had reservations of, I'm really interested in trying this app, but I'm not sure if I want to give my email address yet. I'm not sure if I want to share my birthday yet. Giving them the control to sort of opt out of that at that time, and then later if they want to share it because they then do trust the app, they can do so.
Do you guys serve any ads in your applications, or do you only monetize with microtransactions on mobile?
We used to serve advertisements within our games, but we stopped sometime last year. So today we primarily monetize through in-app purchases.
And Rex?
We're the same way. When it comes to mobile, the only way that we monetize today is with in-app purchase.
And people say iOS first, Android first. Do you have a religion on that, or do you ship for both platforms at the exact same time?
We basically ship on both platforms at the same time. To be honest, we probably want to get to a point where, look, if we know that users basically want to play our games, we probably need to get to a point where let's just get it out there. If it's good enough quality, and we know that there's a good addressable market across multiple platforms, let's just have it there. But for us, we continue to launch games on Facebook first, and then move them over to mobile, because we find that on Facebook and Canvas it's still a lot easier and faster for us to test and iterate than it has been typically on mobile.
Rex?
And when it comes to our mobile applications, we sim ship on both platforms simultaneously.
What about tablets? Do you make any difference between phone and tablets? Is it the same app, or do you have apps for the tablets and apps for the smartphones? Rex?
Today we have a universal app, which is the same application that runs both on mobile and on phone. So if you've played our application, it's the same experience. So if you've played one, you'll be familiar with the other if you played in a slightly different form factor.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's similar with today. We have a universal app that works across different device types, but we've been drilling down in terms of looking at the metrics of a tablet user versus a phone user, and we are starting to see differences between the two. Now it's just a matter of, okay, what do we do with that data and how do we act on that data? So we know that there are differences, but today we haven't actually leveraged that data to do anything different within our games yet.
One last question, because I have the opportunity to ask that question to two of the most successful gaming companies, not just on Facebook, but across every platform in the world. So if you had to start a gaming company tomorrow, what would you do? Would it be Unity-based, hardcore tablet games? What would it be if you had to start a new gaming company tomorrow morning? Which area, which platform would you choose? I'm going to start with you, Rex.
That's fair. So I most likely would start with a casual game. I would probably leverage both Canvas and mobile, and if I were to do it, I probably would try to aim on launching both of them simultaneously. I think Unity's appeal would allow me to build a product that I could sim ship, especially with a small company, which would start out with a few employees. It really does have the infrastructure to allow me to develop once and to deploy many different places, and I think that's the path that I'd take.
Yeah. So it's a good question. I'm not sure what type of genre I would get into, but I would definitely know what I would look to do if I was to build a game or start a gaming company. One, I totally agree with fully cross-platform, and it looks like based on what we've learned today, I think leveraging like Parse and Unity are probably good options. But I fully am a big believer in cross-platform play and fully synchronous cross-platform play. Second thing that I'm seeing is that you really have to focus on game operations. So the games that we produce or games going forward are really live services, right? And users will give you real-time feedback or data, and you can see what they're doing. And as a result, you have to operate the games as a live service to meet these users' needs, or sometimes real-time needs. So I think there's definitely a big focus on focusing on how to operate the game itself. And then the third thing is, I still think there's more social to be done within the space. So I would think about something along the lines of how can I get more live group play potentially to basically get that going. Because today a lot of the social games are still they're social in nature, but they're still for the most part asynchronous type of play. I would definitely look into something that has more of a group play.
Well, Parse, Unity, cross-platform. I could not agree more. That would be the last word. Thank you very much, guys, for coming. Thank you very much for watching us.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.